So just to recapture, we now got this look, and we talked about that it was supposed to be Danish to euro, so but it's not. So and then if we type anything in here and try to convert, then you will also see it breaks down. And you can see it breaks down because there's no selected ISO from. So we got some problem here. So let's try to take the next step. The next step will be, first we can figure out what's the problem, why didn't it be Danish kroner to euro. That's the easy one, and the next step will be this one. So we'll take it in 2 steps. So let's go back to the controller and have a look, and then it's obviously this is a problem because I just assign a new value to the same field. So and it's actually showing the first field if I don't do anything, so it will probably be Danish kroner. That's why the second is Danish kroner. So it should be 2 here. This is the first one. The next one, we got a problem in the view model. We can take that in a couple of steps, but we can start trying to make the calculation. Then we can see we're actually doing the right thing. To do the calculation of the exchange rate, then we need something from the input. So if we take a short look and make a breakpoint, then we can see what we actually are having back. So let's try to set a breakpoint and then go back and run it again. So now this one should be correctly. We could change it if we want. We could switch it so we can actually see that maybe we could also take Danish to Canadian, United States, so we can see that we actually what we are getting back. 100. Maybe we should also start Fiddler just to see what's actually in the post back. Then we have both the input where we actually can see inside the structure, but we can also have a short look what's actually sent back. So I'll start Fiddler, and it's running like hell. So I make a filter. It's because it's trying to figure out if there is update for our Visual Studio when Visual Studio is running. So this one. Then I got a filter, and we should be able to try it. So now we'll make the post. I already have the get, of course. So maybe we should do that again actually, so we can also see what's actually on the page. But we can do it here. Also just saying show text. So that might be easier. Then we don't need to do it again. So you can see here we got a lot of information in the top. Some of it is Bootstrap, CSS styling and stuff like that in the header. But we also find here the first select box. So can we see the name? It's wrapping around. So we got this one. And you can see here the ID. That's actually the name of the field in the model, and you can see the same is the name here, and then we also got a default value, this one, this is the default value, and then we got all the options here with the value and the text that's shown, and the same for the next one. Maybe one of them are interesting, the input one, because we set it to be read only. So we can see here we got an input field. It has a special class name, so it can be nicely looked with styling from the CSS. And then we got the ID, which is the same as the name of the field. So it has to generate the name for the field from the model equal greater than and then the name of the field in the HTML helper. And then we got the extra one with the read only here. And when we got the input submit here. So this, and then there's included some JavaScript here, so it can make evaluation. So there's actually a lot of JavaScript included, even if we don't write any JavaScript. So it's important that you actually know that some of the stuff we are doing in C# actually also end up in JavaScript. So when we make validation rules on the model, it's actually putting in information here, and then every time we try to submit or leave a field, then there will be an event, and the JavaScript will run and try to evaluate the field according to the rules we have set up. Probably we could find somewhere, maybe not on this one, but if we take the one with the curency, because we have a special expression, we could actually find the expression, the regular expression, also like a key value in some of the some field, some attribute on the field, so it actually uses this for validation. That's shortly, so we know that it's HTML primary, and now when we try to make the conversion here, then we got Fiddler, and we can see what's sent back. So this must be the one, and you can see here now it's nicely shown. There's actually some thing here, a request verification token, which is encrypted in some way. Then we can see one list box, the selection. So the name of the list box is actually the same name as the key, and then we got the value. So we got another key, a value, and then we got the two input fields here. The submit don't have a name, so it is not passed back. If we have more than one bottom, we could give them the same name, and then we would actually see there will be a key value pair for the one that actually are doing the submission. So, and if we go to the raw format, you will see here, it's a little bit difficult to read, but you will find key value pair here inside the body. So it's actually a normal HTML, it's normal HTTP post back with a lot of information in the header, and then information here, and then you will actually see that if we are going to see the result, maybe no, that will only be when we are making, of course, the view, because now it's a post back, so we don't see the view now. We will have seen that if we are starting it up with the first get. Then sometimes it actually are trying to compress it. So you will see in the header it says when it calls that I can also express, I can also accept some kind of compression. So it's actually not sending every stuff in clean text. So it's compressed, and then this can actually be, there will be some kind of key you can press on. If it's compressed, then Fiddler will also try to decompress it so we can see how it looks like in raw format. But now we know that every time we got a form, there will be post back. We'll just put in the body some key value pair. And they will actually, now we're going to the next step, we can see that it should be here, that we got the model, and if you try to have a look at the model, we'll see that it's actually trying to map all those key value pair into the model. So we got, in this case, the amount from, the amount to, so it's mapped into this one, and we got these two fields mapped into, but you can also see some of them are null. So this is actually the list, and it's null. This is the other one, the other list we need to make the list box from, is also null. and then in the end we don't have a list for all the exchange rate, but we actually have tried to make it and put it in the model. So they're lost. They're not in the form, so they are lost. So we need some way to reproduce them, because else we will not be able to make this view again. So that's one of the problem that we need to reproduce them. And of course we could just take the same here, because this one, all this is no problem. It's just doing it again. It's not changed, so it will just be a less box. And this one as well, this could be done also again. So it doesn't matter. We can just reconstruct it, putting it up again. So it will work, but we will not do that. We will cheat a little bit, because we want to remember some information from one call to the next. So we don't need to do it every time, generate the information again. So, but the first one is to stop this one and maybe make the calculation. So let's try to figure out how can we make the calculation. So we need and in the end we also want to make a new exchange element. So we want to make one of those. So we might use this also for making data when we are doing some of it. We could actually make a constructor putting in some of the information, and then just use this for the next as a temporary value, you can say, because we need to create such one anyway. So let's go to the controller, and then we could start up saying, what do we need? We need the exchange rate, else we cannot make the calculation. And how can we get the exchange rate? Yeah, well, for getting the exchange rate, we actually need, we have forgot everything. So we only have the ISO code. So we need a kind of a repository again, so we can actually find the exchange rate. So it will be the same. So this one can be done. So now we got access to some currency, and then we can have the first one. Yeah, maybe instead of making a lot of small help variable, we just make the exchange model, then we put it into to this one. So let's take a model. Exchange. And now I know it's might be a bad idea that we actually have a default constructor that make two empty elements, because it's a waste of time setting it up, but it might help us if we just want to make a simple solution. So the default constructor might not do anything now. But now we got the exchange, so we can say the first one, exchange, and I don't care about errors now. I expect that there will be no error. Of course, I might have made some try-catch, but I expect there will be no error, so the ISO I put in the selection will be an acceptable ISO. So I can say that I want the currency from, and this should be, I can take this one, the repository, and then I can try to get the currency just having the ISO. And the ISO is actually in the model, in the view model. So it's the currency here, the selected ISO from. So I just pick up, understand? And and think that it might be there because I just put it there. And the same from the other one too. It might be this one. So now I got these two values, then I can put the next one, exchange, and the next one will be the amount from. The amount from is just taking it from the model. It's passed back. So it's the model dot amount from. And then the next one is a little bit more difficult, the amount to, because this should be a calculation. I got the currency from, I got the currency to as an object. In each of them there is an exchange rate. The only thing I need now is make the calculation in the right way. So if I take the exchange rate, well maybe actually, yeah, I can do this first. I could also update the model first and then fill it into this one later, but I need the two ISO, and so instead of making help variable for them and then put it in the end, then I do it in the beginning. So I can take the exchange and then take the amount from. This is the same as the model, and then I should multiply this one. Let's just think what we are doing. So if I multiply this with the currency exchange rate from, currency from exchange rate, and divide it with the exchange currency to dot exchange rate, then it should be correct. Now I got a lot of decimals, so maybe I should get rid of them. I don't want small coins, so I could do exchange amount to, and then it's set it to the same but rounded. So math as a function, called round. It takes a double or decimal, it takes a lot of stuff, so it can take the exchange dot amount to, and I can say I think that default is 0 decimal, but now I just throw away all the decimal but round up. I could probably, there is something called floor or something that could round down, but in this case I round up. And then of course I still need to update my model. So now I just updated created this new object. I could put it in, I'll do that in the first place. I got my model and then I just remember to add it. So we got this exchange list dot add. Is there something wrong with that? Let's have a look. So it's innumerable. This is not good. So I change it to a list because this could be passed with a for each loop, but I actually need to use it as a list, so I need to change it. For this one it doesn't matter because I generate it, but for this one it actually matters. So, and then we can make an add and make the exchange for that. Yes. Then we need to update the model. well. So we take the amount 2 and put it to the same value as the exchange amount 2. Then it's updated, and it's an input field, so there might be the problem that it's actually not changing the state, it's remembering the old value, which was 0. So we might tell the system that it should actually update it. And there's the model state. Where I can take the remove. You have seen that before, so I remove one of them. And I remove it might be called, yeah, maybe I should actually use a lambda expression. But so I could probably do something, getting the field name put in as a text instead of doing this one, but now I just put it. I know that if I change this one and I don't change this one, I got problem. So now it's actually updated. But then I will still have the problem. I still have a problem because I don't have a list for the list boxes, and then it will break down because it cannot make the view of it. So I need a list box, and the first one could just be the easy one. Just copy this stuff. This is quick solution, so we can see it works, and then we will change it. So now I got 2 list boxes. They were null, you remember. So let's try to see if it's working. So hopefully it will. Let's see. Word. And we got a problem. So yes, we got one problem more. You can see that the exchange list is null. We didn't actually made a new one for that. So still one problem. So the easy solution is just doing the same as we did here. We just make an empty one before we are doing anything. So maybe we could put them in the top. It would be better. No, not exactly. Because this one we could put them in the top. It doesn't matter. We use it here, so we need it before we put in stuff. So now we got a null list. Not a null, but we got an empty list every time. So we actually don't remember, but now it should be able to show that we can have a view. So, and it seems correctly. We are getting less euro than we are having Danish crowns, so it probably will be correct the way we choose to make the division. So now we have 2 problems. We've got one problem, which is a big problem, that is every time I make this one, I make an empty list, so I actually don't remember anything. So I need one way or another to save the exchange list, because if I don't save it, it will be empty every time. So then I probably could get rid of it, because it doesn't matter if I don't remember anything. And the other stuff, I could do that at the same time, is that I need to remember the list, because I need to remember it from time to time. And the third part might be that instead of creating the repository every time, maybe that could also be interesting, that it survived in some way. If we are taking the first part, the last part actually, the part about the repository, then of course I could make it a static, then it will survive, it will be survived from time to time. I could put it in the application object with the key value pair, so I could store it there, and that might also be an idea, because I don't need it for every client. If we are talking about the list box, then it definitely should be for the client, because if I'm working with my browser, it would not be a good idea that when I change the select box and remember what's selected, that I generate it for all people. But the list item itself, it could actually be stored also. So when I make the repository, I could just also make a part of it just to show in a list box if I wanted to. If we come to the remembering the exchange, then it must be for the client, because if people are using the system more than one people, then it will be really confusing if they are making exchange and I remembered them. So that might be actually stored in a session maybe. So we could use a session for that. But for the moment, I will try to show you a different way, because I actually only need this to survive for one call. I need that some of the information survive from when I start the first view, and they should survive for the next view. So I actually can make this view without restoring. And for that, there's an easy way to do it, a really easy way, because we also have something called temp data. And temp data can be used storing data from one action to the next action, but then it's away. So it can only be stored for one call. And that seems to be okay, because if we can store it from one call, then we don't need to reconstruct it again. So we go to the controller, and then the easy way is actually just storing everything. So if we just store the model, then we don't have really much information in the model that should not survive. There will be a little bit because the new input data, but it will be easy. So if we take temp data, and then we could call it, we could actually use the same name as the model name, then we probably will not have problem. Oh, should be in the first. And yeah. So if we call it this name, then it would be a good name. We'll probably not have more than one of this. And then we give it a value, and the value will just be model. So we just store the model. That's easy. If we store the model, then we could actually also get the model when we come here. So we can start doing that in the first. So we got a model, just the same type as this one, but it's the old model. So the old model, a saved model, we could call that. that's we are retrieving that from the temp data. Now there's one problem with this kind of data, that's it's generic, so when you use this kind of dictionary you could not know what kind of object it is, so it's just object, so we need to tell which kind of object we actually have stored in. So we say as, and then we typecast it to this one. So at this point I just stored the old model, or I stored the model when it was new actually, and then when I come back I get it again. So now I got the old model and I got the new one. And we can try to stop it and see what's going on. Yes. A long name, but that's the only problem. We could shorten it a little bit, but I think it's a good name. Yeah. So let's try to stop it. We still have the solution. We don't use it, but we'll come to that. But we can see that we actually have the information back. So let's try. So we can make regulation, convert, and then we got this model, and we take one step. So now we got the old model, and we can see that the old model has actually the list box. So there is list box and there is all the stuff we needed. So now we can try to clean a little bit up, because now we don't need this one anymore. We don't need to make a new one. We can just copy the old one. So we just copy the one we remembered. And maybe I should go back, just make one step. So put it on the clipboard. Oh, I just do it again. Mark. It was the exchange list. That should do it. Why is it complaining?
The above line need a semicolon, right?
Sure is a way. I don't know what.
Bjørk,
Oh yeah. Yes. So this could be commented out. We could take it from the old one, and this where we create the list, and the two list boxes could be commented out and replaced by this one, model dot currency list from the old model dot currency list from, and model dot currency list 2 equal dot currency list 2. Oh yeah. So a little bit less code. We still have one issue, that is that we actually are trying to get the repository time, but that might actually also give a little bit sense, because if we are changing it so it's actually a service then maybe the exchange rate have changed. So we use the new exchange rate when we are actually doing it. So if we try it again, then we actually remember information and pass them, and so it should be working now onto one limit. So the first is okay, and we got this one, just continue. So now we can actually see that it's working. We are not generate the information again, we just restart it. But if I try one more time, it breaks. So I solved the problem that I could pass from the first get to the next post, but the problem is that I also need actually to remember that when this is shown, it's going back to a post, and then everything is forgotten again. So I need to do the same here. I need to store in temp data for the next action like I did in the first part. And I could steal it from here, so it's the same. So I can use temp data from one call to the next one, but then it's away. But then I can just do it again every time. So now it should be working. And the good stuff about temp data is it's only one call, so it's not saved for a long time like we did if we are using session, then we will keep it for a longer time. I'm not quite sure where they actually store it. They might actually store it in the view. So it might be in some of the hidden fields that they actually are saving it. That's what they did with the view data when they made the web form. So it might be that, but it could also be that they actually are having some kind of session from one call to the next one, and then it's thrown away. So now we actually have a running application that can remember from one time to the next one. And we could actually go in and have a look, and we will see that now we actually build up the list with the exchange value. So we actually have this list. But I think that maybe a couple of minutes break, then I will make a break of the video, and then I will make a version. So we have this one, and then we can start again.